This right here is the 2x4 installation method for pavers. Why do professionals use it? Because it's simple. Today we're going to be installing landscape pavers to attach a deck to the backyard, and you can see I have a string line set up already. Let's get started with the Paver Base, which is an essential and critical step. Here's what you need. For step one, I use a garden rake to smooth and even out the existing soil to prep for my Paver Base. Now, once it's looking good, I'll grab my tamper to compact the ground. Use your muscles here to get it as level as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Next, it is on to the landscaping cloth. Now, this is really helpful to stop weeds. And because I don't need a lot, I'm cutting it into strips. For this Paver walkway installation, I'm using 2x4s to the left and right of my walkway. You're going to see why I do this coming up. Right here is a critical step. I'm hauling bags of Paver Base. This will be the foundation of our Paver walkway so that they are nice and stable. It also provides for drainage. Now, I want a minimum of 2 inches depth here, which is why I've placed some shims under my 2x4s. Then I'm gonna rake it nice and smooth, and then we can get on to our screeding. What I've done is just spread out my Paver Base, crushed limestone in line with my 2x4. This is just really acting as a guardrail, right? We wanna keep the Paver Base there. It's establishing the grade of 2 inches minimum for this base. Really important to grab your lumber here, a scrap piece. So you're looking one side should be over there on your rail. And the other, you can see it's high because it's not touching, so you can bring it back. And as you drag, you're gonna see a little excess material here. Just dragging it across, and you can see this part is usually the high point. I've got a whole excess of material here. Gonna take that, if you have some low spots, take the excess material as you screed, and you can see I got some in there. There we go. And push down. See, it's a little high. Still a little high. And if you're a little overzealous, that's all right. There we go. Spread that out. Now, once you've done that, you want to grab your tamper again, just to make it nice and solid and firm to maintain a nice solid foundation for your Paver walkway. This thing really works, by the way. I've had people say, why do you use this? Does it actually work? It does. There's a reason we do this, is because it works, right? Now, once you've gotten this nice and level, we're gonna move on to the sand over here. Bag on the right is multi-purpose sand. That is what I would use often. I'm just using the concrete sand because it's a free gift with purchase of the pavers. I did not get them at the big box stores. I'm gonna tell you why coming up in the video. But first, let's get on to this, the Screeding Bars. Now, a lot of DIY channels out there are gonna tell you to buy Screeding Bars. You can in conduit and aluminum. Those are expensive. Or you can do what I do. I am using broom handles. Why? Because it's a rod, and that's what a Screeding Bar is. And it's free. Use what you have. These are so effective. I'm gonna show you how you can use these right now for your Screeding Bars. Let's do it. Position them to the left and to the right of my Paver walkway. Grab your sand, we're gonna need that next. So what I'm doing, you can just push out and spread out the sand. You could use your rake, even just rake this out over top of your Screeding Bars here. So the goal here is to smooth the sand. You can see I have my Screeding Bars here. It's the red. We're gonna cover that up with sand. All I've done, poured out the sand, covered this up. Grab your 2x, and then we're just gonna drag it across smoothly. So you can go over that just in a gentle motion. Keep going. Now my sand is wet, it got wet. So if you have some voids, that's okay, sprinkle. You don't have to get this all perfect in one go. Just take your time, and we're looking just to get this nice and smooth and level. And I have a level here. You can also double check that that is level. Now that right there is nice and smooth. Now the reason we've added 3/4 of an inch to an inch of the sand base is to provide flexibility. The sand has a little bit of give. Think of it as a little shock absorber for those pavers. Your ground has a lot of tension, especially with frost heaves. That's a lot of force, and that is going to provide some cushion and flexibility so your pavers don't do two things. We don't want them to sink and we don't want them to crack, and that layer right there is going to help prevent that. And how about those rods? All I'm going to do here is gently push this down. And then I'm going to fill these little troughs gently with sand and flatten it out. So let's talk layout. I have one paver going in here and my second paver will be here. Now when it comes to stepping stones or paver walkways, the traditional way of doing that, one of them is called the 2x4 method, and that is simply using your 2x4. I'm gonna line it up with the deck. I'm using a 2x4 as a spacer. That's very traditional. However, if you're on a tight budget, you can customize that. So I'm actually gonna use a deck board, and I'm gonna show you how that goes as I continue on with my pavers. So I'm gonna swap that out, gonna get that in line, and I'm gonna grab my paver. It's super heavy, so let's see how I do this. I think it's 70 pounds. We'll give it a go. Okay, so this paver that I'm using today is pretty big. Kind of a one-hit wonder. Not too bad. You can see my string line. I almost took it out, but that's not too bad. If it was crooked with a slab like this, I would shimmy it. So what I'm checking here is the deck spacing. I want this spacing consistent. As you set each paver into position, what I like to do is the weight of the paver on the sand is actually going to help embed it. I will actually apply pressure, like just lean into each corner. Now the key here is I do not want to see any movement. When I put my body weight on each corner, I don't want to see any rocking, because that means it's not stable and it's not a good installation. If you do experience some rocking, it just means that one side is probably a little too high or low. Pry up your paver and you can just adjust it a little bit. That is typical. You want this to touch this, and you can use a 2x4 here to maintain your space. I'm gonna grab another and continue on. Now, after setting all of our pavers and making sure they're nice and level, let's remove this deck board, and I want to show you what I have right under there. Let's take a look. Now, all I've done here is I've just backfilled with garden soil from somewhere else in the garden. It's just to save money if ever you have to do a lot of excavating. You just want to tamp that down, and then I'm going to throw my fill in, make it look nice. Now, when it comes to fill material in between your pavers, you really have three options. Number one is grass. That looks beautiful. It's a little bit more high maintenance because it involves mowing. Number two is what I've selected here, which is mulch. Why I've selected it? It's inexpensive, it's low maintenance, and it's very cheap in this region because we have a lot of trees. It's also high contrast. Do you see that? The pavers are light, the mulch is dark, so the pavers really pop. I like high contrast looks in the garden like this. Now, if you live in a dry or arid climate, you might want to go with pebbles or stones. That looks beautiful and it will work better for you. Let me know what you like in the comments. Keep in mind though, when you do install pavers or stepping stones, sometimes people actually install them a little bit too low, especially in lawns. I like them slightly proud or slightly above the grass, as long as it has clearance for your lawnmower. It should look to me like your pavers are floating on the fill material and not sunken. Now, if you'd like to save money on your pavers, there's two things you can do. Number one, go online and search for paver suppliers in the area you live. I can get $5 each paver by shopping at a local business instead of the big box stores. Another great way to save money is to go with a 12x24 paver. These are more affordable. They look absolutely beautiful, and it will give you the same look, but for less. So the 2x4 method for me is very simple. I save things like this because I can build planter boxes like that, almost entirely with offcuts. If you'd like to learn how it's done, you can check out this video here, and I will link to the full landscaping tutorial in the description. I'll see you in the next one, everyone. Thank you so much.